The important collections of the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts are the envy of many museums in larger cities. Permanent galleries of early 20th century European art include works by leading French artists, Henri Matisse, Pablo Picasso, and Georges Braque among them. The museum holds the nation's preeminent collection of Fabergé jeweled Easter eggs, enameled boxes and trinkets, as well as works in enamel and precious stones by other premier Russian artists. The estate of Maymont was left to the city of Richmond by James and Sally Dooley, who built it in the late 1890s and lived here through 1925. It includes the mansion, arboretum, several gardens, a 100-acre park, a children's petting farm, and a carriage collection. Although a botanical garden might not be the first place you would think of to bring the kids, the Louis Ginter Botanical Garden has a surprising number of things to do for both children and adults, making it the perfect place to visit on a nice day. The children's garden is designed to encourage interaction, and here kids can dig, climb, and even cool off in the water play area, perfect on a hot day. This area also is home to the unique CWD Kids Treehouse, which is fully wheelchair accessible, allowing everyone to enjoy the view from up top. Built in 1818 as a private residence, this was the executive residence of Confederate President Jefferson Davis, his wife Varina, and their children from August 1861 until they were forced to leave during the evacuation of Richmond in April 1865. Beautifully restored to its wartime appearance, it is now furnished in the height of period fashion, with Rococo Revival furniture upholstered in silk, fine carpets, and flocked wallpaper, as it would have been when guests like Robert E. Lee visited the mansion. The imposing white Capitol was built in 1785 to 1788 to the design of Thomas Jefferson, who modeled it after the Roman temple known as the Maison Carrée in Nimes, France. Several major events in Confederate history took place here, including the ratification of Virginia's secession and Robert E. Lee's appointment as commander of the Southern Army. For an impression of what Richmond was like before the Civil War, visit the streets east of the state capitol, beyond I-95, where you'll find about 70 antebellum houses and St. John's Episcopal Church, built in 1741. It was here that Patriot Patrick Henry made his famous speech, which coined the slogan, "Give me liberty or give me death," during the Second Virginia Convention. The former Tredegar Iron Works, on the James River in downtown Richmond, was founded in 1837, and was one of the country's largest industrial sites before the Civil War. When the war broke out, it was the largest in the Confederacy, and supplied about half of the artillery for the Confederate Army. The site has been named a National Historic Landmark. Today a museum, American Civil War Center, surrounds the Central Foundry's ruined walls, with galleries of exhibits dedicated to interpreting the Civil War's causes and effects from perspectives of the Confederates, the Union, and African Americans. The Virginia Holocaust Museum provides visitors with a thorough history of the Holocaust, from the social and political climates that led up to its beginnings through the terrible aftermath. Exhibits include artifacts, photos, and personal stories that shed light on the tragedy. The most impactful of these artifacts is an actual German Güterwagen, or Goodswagen, which was used by the Nazis to transport prisoners to the camps. Visitors can actually step inside to get a glimpse into the experience so many endured. It was George Washington who urged the Virginia General Assembly to build a canal and roads to connect East Coast harbors to western markets. The result was the James River Kanawha Canal, which you can follow today along 1.25 miles of paved promenades interspersed with historic sites, statues, and markers telling Richmond's 4th-century story. The Virginia Museum of History and Culture is home to permanent and rotating exhibits, which explore the natural and cultural history of the state. Its central exhibit, The Story of Virginia, contains a collection of over 500 artifacts, which give visitors a first-hand look at items from the past, from prehistoric tools to contemporary accomplishments. Smaller permanent exhibits include a collection of Confederate historical documents, a gallery of military-themed murals, and an exhibit about the silver industry in Virginia. The museum's library and archives are another important aspect of the collections, and there are a great deal of genealogy resources available, including the recently developed database of Virginia slave names.